definitely. But we will pivot into it now and start off. As we tend to do, we'll be going in chronological order through the games. So that starts this Friday, which will be today as you're watching this.
Yeah.
And it is Bath v Clermont in the Rec at 7:45 p.m. And good game, to be honest. Like, the Rec is a tough place to go, for sure. Like, it's one of the great cauldrons of European rugby. Bath are winless after 2, but this group is more bunched than others. They have 2 points, whereas the table top of Ulster are on 8. So that's not as dead and buried as defeats tend to read.
Until a few years ago, no side had ever lost their opening 2 fixtures and got through. But I believe, I want to say Scarlets were the side to do that. I could be wrong. It was somebody, though, who ran the table after losing the first 2 and got through. And this is definitely a pool where you can see that potential.
For sure,
But that said, everything is at stake here for Bath. They can't afford another loss. And likewise, Clermont, after shipping a really sloppy defeat away in Ravenhill, are in a position where if they have another sloppy away defeat, it becomes a real uphill battle to get out of the pool. It absolutely does.
Yeah. This is true.
You're talking about running the table with bonus points from there on in, which is not. It's not inconceivable that they would do that, but it's
pretty inconceivable to me, because I actually, and it's something I keep bringing up, but the Rec is a lovely stadium and a terrible pitch.
Oh no, but I mean after this game, if they lose this game, they could run the table with all bonus points, but that's what they'll have to do.
Very unlikely that they do any of that. But
so yeah, it's a colossal game, and it is the only game of this weekend, unfortunately, that we have the teams announced for, which we won't have for any of the other games, although you probably will. But but the teams were just announced today, and the big real news from them, well, first of all, Clermont, despite having a very strong team, they haven't had the return of Messrs Fofana and Pinot.
Yeah.
And Bath, really, no Sam Underhill
is the big story for me. That's huge, because even the prep, I was thinking it was low Underhill is the factor when you go to that pitch in the Rec, and you're playing in the mud, and those 2 terriers are in every breakdown. It really makes every game quite combative and quite low scoring and just very physical in the middle of the park. So it remains to be seen how they will manage to frustrate without him, because he is a big pivot point.
Like Mike Williams and Josh Bayless are in the flank with Sam Underhill with Francois Lowe in at number 8, and they're just going to have to approach the game in the same way as they otherwise would. They have their messy pitch, and the guys who are in instead of Underhill are just going to have to step up. They're going to have to make it spoily and make it nasty. From Bath's perspective, like it one of the things that keeps colouring their home games is the poor quality of their pitch. When you actually look at their backline, pretty damn tasty.
It should be tasty, and it is.
Reece Priestley can run a backline for sure.
Freddie Burns, similarly, it depends. Like he comes off the bench, or vice versa, they've done as well.
There's a lovely balance to Jamie Roberts and Jonathan Joseph in the centre. You can see them working off one another, the sort of one-dimensional physicality of Roberts and then the twinkle toes, but
this is it,
sometimes softness of Jonathan Joseph. You like to think that they can cancel each other out and play to each other's strengths. They got 2 killers on the wing, Rocca Dagooni and Rue McConaughey.
Absolutely,
2 absolute lightning bolts and finishers. So I mean, if they choose to use the ball, they definitely can.
Yeah, that's why that's why I keep coming back. I don't like talking conditions too much, but like with those wide men that you just named there, the fact is they tend to move in slow. Like all games, the tempo is slower in the Rec because the pitch, and they move it in this stuck in the mud kind of slow tempo way, and then the games end up being tight. Which, to be honest, may suit in this fixture will suit them more than it will suit Clermont for sure. Clermont will not enjoy playing that way, but in the reverse fixture, and these double headers end up playing out in pairs, and are you going to win the double header rather than the single game? I think it serves this Bath team really poorly to be playing week in, week out on that pitch, because then when they go to places like the Allianz Arena and face Sarries on AstroTurf, they are blitzed all the time, and that may happen in the reverse fixture in Clermont as well. But like Bath still should take heart from the fact that they have groundhogs and terriers in the pack,
especially
and they
Francois
can strike,
Lowe,
especially Francois Lowe. And they can strike. Like they should be trying to make this messy, and they should be taking encouragement from Clermont's showing in Ravenhill, which isn't as bad as I think the Rec is actually the worst pitch in the competition. But Ravenhill's a bit of a messy, cold place to play, and they looked cold compared to week 1 when they looked invulnerable. They actually looked away from home like they weren't at the pace of the game, at the pitch of the game at all, and
Yeah,
that's what Bath will try and inflict on them.
Definitely what Bath need to do. I mean, Clermont don't like not having the ball. They are one of those sides traditionally, and they don't like it when games get scrappy. They have a reputation, they have an ill-earned reputation as bottlers because they always lose the tight knockout games. But it's not a case of them bottling it. It's just reflective of their season-long form, which they get away with in the pools, and they can turn it on, and they can have possession, and they can find tries. But when the games tighten it up, they're really bad at managing their way through it.
True. And they also let teams back into games. They cough up leads. They cough up tries.
Just their defence isn't great.
Yeah.
And Bath need to make them defend for large periods of the game. They need to hold the ball. They need to frustrate teams. They need to be accurate when they do choose to kick.
Yeah.
You need to see the Priestland bomb working its treat. It's a real shame they've got Tom Homer in at fullback. It's obviously a real shame, almost as big a shame, that Anthony Watson isn't in there as well.
Yeah.
He's obviously been in stellar form from the World Cup. But they could still punish Clermont. I mean,
they could.
Nick Abendinen from Clermont and even Raka, under the high ball, they struggled against Ulster. And, that's it's just got to be application of pressure, extremely disciplined resourcing of the offensive breakdown. They have to be honest with their own conditions. You can't throw the ball around. They're not particularly adept at doing that anyway. But just build slowly and build slowly and build slowly and force Clermont to make tackle after tackle. Clermont don't have a natural jackler in there. They don't have a natural 7.
So Clermont are lacking in that. So even without the double, that's why it would have been nice to have Underhill just so you could completely ruin it for them that way. But Francois Lowe can do the job of 3 men on his own anyway.
He really can. But it's just on offense. It's just the whole pack needs to be disciplined. Get in there, no jackals, no errors. Make it slow. Make Clermont make their tackles. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to see the picture of how Bath could frustrate Clermont to get in there. Because obviously, on paper, you would say Clermont are the stronger side.
You would, and there is still a risk in terms of if they're too slow and laboured, and similarly not building up enough scoreboard pressure. Clermont are of these two sides the ones that can strike and find a 7-pointer out of nowhere. Which actually, even looking to last week in Urek when Sarries picked their A team, because Sarries have to pick their A team and blitz through the thing, that Bath did go through a period of sustained pressure for eventually only 3 points, and then the superior side kind of turned it on for enough time to put distance between them.
There is a bit of that, and that's where the exit game is so crucial. I mean, Bath are going to have to be a wee bit honest about their limitations. They're quite one-dimensional, even though they have that good backline. The best way of playing their wingers into the game is with Priestland's boot. But they should absolutely tire Clermont out, frustrate them, and then take points when they're on offer. But also, do spend time in the right areas. So one of these things where taking 3 points versus going for the try is sort of a judgment call, but you would like to see them work both of those in there. But either way, what remains crucial is the kicking game on exit. And the set piece. Like if they can execute those well and plot their way around the pitch and not have to do that much defending, that's their best method.
Especially if they do, in the instances when they do take 3, that has to be the focus off restart. Like get it, do not respond to your 3-pointer with a sloppy exit or a drop off the kick off, and then suddenly it's no value because Clermont are coming at you, and they're Clermont. When the pressure valve is released, like they're a typical French side in that they much prefer having the ball than not. They don't like defending big Englishmen running at them in the mud in December. They would much rather get their hands warm, get touches on every player, and get the ball into space and attack. And if you invite them to do that, you will compound errors and get punished for it. That much, like Clermont will, even if they are 30 minutes absolutely wayward, if it's a Bath error, a sloppy error, they can instantly get up to the game when that happens. And they did a little bit of that even in Ravenhill. It was Ulster errors that were kind of finding those moments when they're like, oh, actually, and then they were in the game till the very end because of it. So I expect it'll be quite tight and similar in that regard, but I'm wondering what Clermont will show up and what Bath whether Bath will allow them to.
Well, Bath will allow them to. Like the big thing for Bath is to limit the amount of opportunities that Clermont have, and one of the ways to do that is when Clermont have the ball is to unleash the weapon that is Francois Lowe. I mean, he is their biggest hope. He is their biggest.
Clermont don't really have breakdown experts in that.
So again, you bring line speed on the outside and you force them in. So you've got, from Bath's point of view on D, you've got Jonathan Joseph and Jamie Roberts in there. Like Joseph in particular has to be leading that defensive line, and just Clermont, they just love to go wide, and Raka's their danger man. Like more than anybody, especially without Pinot and Fofana. Like Moala and Toeva are really, really tidy centres and really subtle as well. And this is where things could get sticky for Bath. But it's got to be about forcing them inside, coming up with a huge amount of line speed and forcing Clermont to take the inside. And that's when the jackal game of Francois Lowe can just be so ruthless, because even when you're plotting for it, if he's in the right place at the right time and the ball carrier just falls, and even if the support is there, he can get in and he can be impossible to move and he can make those steals happen. So that's the winning condition for Bats D. Force Clermont onto the inside, get Francois Lowe onto it. Hopefully the rest of the pack as well can step up and make their impact and get some jackals in as well. It's very much in the ethos of how Bath defend. Make it scrappy, make it slow, force it to be tight. And Clermont, then all of a sudden they'll be doubting themselves, and if they give away penalties, they give away territory and field position and everything, and that's Bath building a score and getting themselves into the game.
Absolutely, yeah. No, there's definitely potential for that. Like the likes of Lowe to be outplaying the likes of Itoria and even Fritz Lee. We've seen him be very good and very bad. We've seen all this from the Clermont pack, particularly over the years. The capacity to be geniuses one minute and absolutely abject the next. And in a pitch like that, in a cauldron like that, if Bath can exert some early pressure and get the crowd firing behind them and get that doubt, it's sowing those seeds of doubt in Clermont's mind. But then from Clermont's perspective, it's about not allowing that. They need to be literally, like you've written there, jouer is their first and foremost thing. If it doesn't matter about the pitch, let's try and move these Bath boys around. They're not used to it, they don't enjoy it. Get your hands warm in the cold by actually putting the ball through it.
Absolutely.
And try and inject a bit of tempo that is normally missing from games in the rec. And if they can do that, it means you don't even have to sustain that for a whole period, but if they can be clinical when they do and grab scores when they do, it'll be too much for this Bath side to come back from, I reckon. The Bath need to be spoiling this Clermont outfit, and Clermont need to know that they can score to spoil them.
Yeah, this absolutely true. I mean, one of the things that Clermont do bring that is so crucial is the offloading game. Yeah. Now Persiliato is
it's a good countermeasure when you know that Francois Lowe is in the contact, as well as get it out of there, get it away from him, change that point of contact.
Exactly. And this is the thing, is that Bath, I'm sure, doubtless will be trying to get Clermont narrow with a rush defence, but they need to pick it apart on the inside, and the offload is a perfect way to do that, and they have so many great players who can offload. They are weakened without Persiliato. Yato is huge for them, and without his offloading game, which they're missing, that's obviously just a colossal factor, but they have really great guys. And I actually think I referenced it when I was talking about Bath and their perspective, but the Moala and Toeva against Roberts and Joseph battle, especially when Clermont are on the ball, is so huge. And we've seen already in the opening 2 rounds of the competition the capacity for those two All Blacks to...
Moala's been awesome. He's been shrugging off contacts. And I think you're right in saying, when that pitch, if it becomes a little bit sloppy, the play will be breaking down in those centres' hands. That's where the contact will be happening, when you're trying to get wide, but maybe the pass isn't accurate enough, or it's just not quick enough. It'll be down to those head-to-heads. And
exactly. The difference that winning that contact versus losing that contact makes is absolutely colossal. If the likes of George Moala with a Roberts in his face can put a bit of footwork on it, can maybe get the ball away to a Fritz Lee or to Toeva, his centre partner, then all of a sudden they're through the line. The tackle comes, after the gain line from Bath, it's quick ball, and all of a sudden we have an opportunity to give it to Raka one-on-one, and that's often the match.
Exactly.
Raka is a phenomenon, and putting him in space is just a huge part of the plan here for Clermont. He's just beautiful to watch.
They've gone with Para this week, mainly because
Laidlaw's form
was rotten, and it absolutely was. That Belfast performance from him is probably the worst showing I've seen from the man, to be honest. But Para, as much as he's a really fine player and a great reader of the game and very consummate Clermont man, he can strike. We've seen him. He's done it to our beloved Leinster a few times, but this iteration of Morgan Para only really has around 30 minutes of really good concentrated goal in him.
He gets tired.
He gets wayward.
The other thing is that if the Francois Lowe's of the world can impose themselves on him,
then his platform isn't there,
and he can get ropey, and then you start to see the box kicks out in the full and the
all of that stuff. So he's a temperamental petit general.
He is.
But when he's on, he can be absolute gold. His reading of the game is still great, and if he can get a bit of telepathy with the likes of Raka, we know that he can fire floated skip passes out to the wing to create that one-on-one. He doesn't mind being that playmaker. So it'll fall down to whether the pack is spoiling his ball, and from Bath's perspective, or not. If he's getting a free rein to put players into space, there will be a lot of playing off nine happening.
The other thing is that if Clermont can move it quick enough and force the Bath wingers up and be honest enough, they have a very tidy boot from both Parra and Lopez.
Yeah.
And it's not something they're going to be afraid to use. So clinical is what Clermont are doing, is what they should be thinking. And they shouldn't be afraid, I don't think, to take 3-pointers. I think just in the nature of this game, Bath, and just generally, if you look at Bath's games this year, 15-9 against Quins, and like they're just not that clinical. The games tend not to be that clinical, especially in the dirt. And when you've got a pair of guys like Lopez and Parra, who Parra with the boot can be fairly lethal, Lopez with the drop goal is a secret weapon of his. Like, if things are getting slow, if you're getting stymied, what Clermont's saving grace may be is their capacity to be clinical in the red zone.
To outscore them.
But when they get into the red zone, it's just always points. And whether it's a drop goal or we do find Raka,
if they can accomplish that, they will win this game.
Yeah, so that's where the territory game of Lopez and getting down into the right areas as a first step towards acquiring points becomes the real factor.
Yeah, for sure. And on defence as well, they should remember that lack of clinical aspect from Bath and just stick their tackles, bring line speed and try and be in their face. But yeah, just remember to keep their composure and not go headless chicken and give them soft penalties, which they are wont to do. But if they can prevent that, then
discipline is huge, and patience is huge as well, because they just aren't that big a poach team. So you've just got to be patient when Bath have the ball, and if you drive them back in enough contacts, if they're up for the fight enough, which they very weren't. In Ravenhill, but like the likes of Fritz Lee, the likes of Vittoria really need to improve and start winning. Just no soft contacts. Start driving teams back and Bath, like your classic English team, will sooner rather than later resort to the boot or knock it on.
When they're not going forward, they just don't like it, and that's definitely a key. How do you see that one going?
It's a tough one. I can very clearly visualise, I think as I've outlined, the picture of Bath frustrating Clermont, and Clermont are such a tough team to predict because the talent is there, but sometimes the execution isn't. I mean, I would have been more confident if Yato was there. 100%, like more than anybody, even Pinot and Fofana, and even Nana Williams hasn't come back yet. Like, they have such talent, but I would have been more confident with Yato in there, and just without that spoiling breakdown presence, it's entirely possible that Bath get on top of them. But I guess when these games usually happen, it's a super tight one and it's tough to call. I always sort of default to choosing the better rugby team, and that's Clermont. Clermont. They have more talent, they have more capacity to find points, and I guess I'll just back them just to find one too many scores for Bath.
I think see it out in by about 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think it could be close to like
could 18, be even 4.
15 type thing.
Like I was kind of verging between 4 or 7. But I for the same rationale, I think they will. Bath aren't clinical enough. I'm going to labour the point, but I'm going to park it. Like, I love the rec, but get a 4G pitch for God's sake, because it'll make your team quicker, it'll make you more able to execute and more clinical. It's all related. Like, they're not clinical enough.
The other thing is that, like, as good as Bath have been and as good as Priestland can be, Priestland's form isn't great, and that could kill them. Could kill them straight away. Like, if Priestland has a shocker, that's
game over already.
So
so that's our opening fixture Friday, and we're back in Clermont as Leinster boys are wont to do. We have a penchant for them, but we'll move on then to Saturday. Thank you very much for watching that video. Please like and subscribe for all our new Rugby World Cup content, and please leave a comment down below as well, because we enjoy hearing your thoughts on it. Thanks.